love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always
Namaste friends. So today is chapter 18, and after completing EC2 we are getting into something called as EBS. So what are we going to be seeing today is what is an EBS volume, and EBS is called an elastic block storage, and why it is mission critical, and the EBS volume, what is a solid state disk, what is a hard disk drive, and what is the IOPS versus throughput, input output per second versus throughput. So we'll be seeing all these things. So the EBS volumes, okay, there are different kinds of EBS volumes available, and let's see what they are. So the EBS volumes are nothing but the storage volumes that you can actually attach to the EC2. So the EC2, we saw that it's a virtual machine in the AWS, and it's like a server, and we actually booted it up, we actually terminated it. So if you want to actually attach some storage, then it is called the EBS. So you can actually use them the way you want to use any system disk, like create a file system, run a database, run an operating system, store data, install applications. So any of these kinds of things, you can actually store it. The storage volumes you can actually attach to EC2 instance is called the EBS. Okay, it is mission critical. It is designed for mission critical workloads. It is highly available because of the replication. It is also scalable. Okay, so the different kinds of EBS volumes are, there are many kinds. One is called the general purpose of the GP2. It is 3 IOPS, or input output per second per gigabytes, and up to maximum 16,000 IOPS per volumes. So this is a GP2, the general purpose SSD. Okay, the GP2 volumes are smaller than 1 TB but can burst up to 3,000 IOPS. Okay, it's good for boot volume. So boot is like basically when the system is actually starting, development and test applications, okay, that are not latency sensitive. So the general purpose is from 3 IOPS to 16,000 IOPS. Okay, it is 1 TB but can actually burst up to 3,000, and it is boot this thing where it is not latency sensitive. Okay, so which means it can have some delay. It is used for development and test application. And what is an EBS? Is a storage volume in the EC2. So we saw GP2. Now let's go to GP3, which is also the family of the general purpose. So this is like predictable. 3,000 IOPS is a baseline, and 125 MB per second. It is ideal for applications that require high performance at a low cost, such as MySQL, Cassandra, virtual desktops, and Hadoop analytics. So in this case, all this Hadoop and everything actually comes into picture. Go for GP3 and not for GP2. Okay, so the customers are actually looking for a higher performance, can scale up to 16,000 IOPS, and 1,000 megabits per second for an additional fee. Okay, the top performance of GP3 is 4 times faster than the GP2. So that actually explains, and this is for something which needs a higher computing, like your Cassandra, big data, Hadoop. Okay, so these are the things here. So now the GP family is over. So now let's get into the provisioned family, provisioned IOPS, input output per second. So this is called IO1. So it is up to 64,000. Remember, the first one is 16,000. The second thing is more than 16,000. This is times 4. So what is the GP3? The GP3 is 4 times that of GP2. And what is this? 16 times 4 is what? 64. So that is IO1. Okay. So it is 64,000 IOPS per volume, 50 IOPS. Use if you need more than 16,000 IOPS. It is just designed for input intensive application like extremely large databases and latency sensitive workloads. Okay, the high performance options are the most expensive with this IO1. So now the provisioned IOPS, which is the IO2. We saw GP1, GP2, and likewise, like we can also have IO1 and IO2, right? So general provision, and this is provisioned IOPS. Okay, so this is the latest generation. This high durability, 500 IOPS. Okay, 500 IOPS, 99.999% durability. This has got up to 64,000 IOPS. Okay, per gigabyte is this. It is large database and latency sensitive, an application that needs a lot of durability. So the throughput, we also have a throughput, and then we also be having a cold. Okay, so we saw GP1, we saw GP2, IO1, IO2, and now the throughput, which is called the ST1. The throughput is like a low cost. Okay, 40 megabits per second per terabyte, ability to burst up to something, 250 megabits per terabyte. Okay, it is frequently accessed through intensive workload. So the throughput is for big data, data warehousing, ETL driven, and log processing. It is a cost effective way to store mountains of data, large data, and it cannot be a boot volume. So this is also high, this thing, but databases, large databases, data warehouse, which we will be talking after some time, ETLs and log processing. So this is the throughput, because throughput is very important at that time. And as I said, like, there's something called cold HDD. So the cold is the lowest of all the option. So the baseline is 12 megabits, the ability to burst up to 80 megabits per terabyte. It's good choice for colder data requiring fewer scans per day. Good for applications that need lower cost, and performance is not a factor, because just remember the glacier that we said, like 24 to 48 hours. In that manner, whichever is cold, it is cold, so you don't want to retrieve it quite often. So in that case, performance does not matter. Then this thing can be better. Okay, the cold can be better. So what is the IOPS and what is the throughput? The measure of the read and write operations per second, important metrics, low latency application transaction workloads, the ability to action read and write very quickly. Okay, and then choose between provisioned IOPS, which is IO1 and IO2. The throughput measures a number of bits, important metric for large databases, large input output sizes, complex queries, the ability to deal with large data sets, and this is a throughput ST1. So what did we learn? As I've been telling, GP1, GP2, IO1 and IO2. Okay, see here, 16,000 IOPS per volume, predictable, and this is for general, this is for performance. 3000, the durability is there. Now this is 64,000 per volume. This is for OLTP provision. OLTP is online transaction processing, latency sensitive application, the same OLTP. Both are 64. Durability is there. High performance and most expensive. This is the latest generation. Okay, keep this in mind. And then we have a throughput and cold. Okay, the throughput is suitable for big data, data warehousing and ETL. Okay, because here the throughput is actually needed. It cannot be a boot volume. It is just like 500 megabits per volume. This is exactly half the cheapest option, less frequently accessed data. It cannot be a boot volume. The durability is more or less the same. I trust we covered the basics of EBS. If you have any questions, kindly contact me. I'll actually try to explain to the best of my abilities. And till we see next time, take care. Cheers.